and welcome to our millions of viewers here in Nigeria, the continent, and all around the world. This is Lunchtime Politics, where we get to unpack some of the biggest stories in Nigeria's political terrain. Let's check out our radar this hour. Professor Mahmood Yakubu bows out as INEC chairman as May Agbamuche becomes acting national chairman of the commission. Minister of Science and Technology Uche Nnaji resigns in the wake of allegations of certificate forgery. Well, many thanks indeed for joining us here on the program. Wherever you're watching from around the world, we're live from our global headquarters here in Lagos, Nigeria. I am Kelly Egiga. I'm not sure how much you are buying cooking gas in your states across the nation, but these have been interesting times indeed for Nigerians. And so today on the program, we'll get to unpack why exactly are Nigerians having to pay as much as 26,000 naira for a 12.5 kg. And of course, there are allegations and counter-allegations, or accusations and counter-accusations, I should say. We'll tell you all about it in just a moment. But let's walk you through some of our top stories this hour. It's a new dawn of the Independent National Electoral Commission, at least for now. As the chairman of the commission, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, has bowed out of office after serving 2 terms. Professor Yakubu handed the baton of leadership to Mrs. May Agbamuche, who is the most senior national commissioner of the commission. Professor Yakubu was first appointed on October 21, 2015 and confirmed by the Senate on October 29 of the same year and had his tenure renewed in 2020.
It started like the regular consultative meeting with resident electoral commissioners from the 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory. The business of the day, as contained in the agenda distributed, is to get an update on preparations for the forthcoming governorship election in Anambra State, the area council elections in the Federal Capital Territory, amongst others, and ongoing engagements by the Commission, such as the nationwide continuous voter registration.
As you are aware, there are a number of forthcoming elections. The preparations for some of them are either at advanced or concluding stages. The Anambra State governorship election is holding next month, followed by the area council election in the Federal Capital Territory in February 2026, the Ekiti State governorship election in June 2026, and the Osun governorship election in August 2026.
However, in a sudden twist, described by some of the resident electoral commissioners as an ambush, the INEC chairman announces his exit from office, though he has a few weeks to the end of his tenure.
Having been privileged to serve the commission for 10 years, with only a few more weeks to serve, I have taken a decision and conveyed same as provided by Section 306, subsections 1 and 2 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended. In the interim, I am handing over to one of the most senior national commissioners by date of appointment. Following consultation with other national commissioners, Mrs. May Agbamuche will serve in acting capacity pending the appointment of a substantive chairman of the commission.
The formal paperwork is done as the outgoing chairman of the commission hands over to the most senior national commissioner, Mrs. May Agbamuche, in acting capacity. In an emotionally packed remark, the acting national chairman accepts the new responsibility, promising to lead with professionalism.
I'm deeply humbled and honored. We assure you that the Commission will do our very best to maintain and uphold the standards you have set. We will continue from where you stopped. I pledge to uphold the integrity of the Commission and work with utmost professionalism, dedication, and in unity with the Honourable Commissioners, the RECs, the directors, all the staff of the country of INEC nationwide.
Professor Mahmood then files out of the conference room along with the commissioners for farewell photographs as he bids farewell to the commissioners and staff of the commission whom he has worked with for the past 10 years.
Well, we wish Professor Mahmood Yakubu all the best. But people are also asking, perhaps is Nigeria due for a female INEC chairman? Will May Agbamuche be allowed to perhaps oversee the 2027 elections? That's some of the debates in some sections of the country. But let's also tell you another big story this hour, that the Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation has eventually stepped down from office following serious allegations relating to the source of his certificate. The minister's resignation, confirmed a few hours ago yesterday, comes amid growing calls for transparency and investigations into the authenticity of his academic credentials, a storm that had increasingly overshadowed his work in promoting technological innovation and local research. Let's bring in a press release now, which was signed by presidential aide Bayo Ononuga. It states that, quote, the minister resigns today in a letter thanking the president for allowing him to serve Nigeria. Naji said he has been a target of blackmail by political opponents. And he says that the president, Bola Tinubu, thanked him for his service and wished him well in future endeavors. End of quotes. Well, the embattled minister who once championed Nigeria's drive towards homegrown innovation lives under a cloud of controversy that may have tested the current administration's commitments to ethical governance. The controversy trailing the certificate scandal has been on the front burner, with his aide and the editor-in-chief on Premium Times, Ms. Kilu Mojid, both featuring on our program Politics Today. Mr. Miskilu Mujid made a spirited defense of his publication's angle to the story, while the minister's aide, on the flip side, held on strongly to his principle, vehemently arguing of any form of wrongdoing. All right. So let's get to discuss something else that has gotten the attention of perhaps every household in Nigeria, and that's the story of cooking gas. And I'd like to bring in someone who understands the sector, someone who is a major player in that sector, the president, Nigeria Liquefied and Compressed Gases Association. He joins us live on the program. Mr. Felix Ekundayo, thank you so much for agreeing to join us here on the program this hour.
Good morning. I hope you can hear me clearly.
Yes, we can hear you, Mr. Ekundayo. Thank you so much for coming on the program. I'm not sure where exactly to begin the conversation from, Mr. Ekundayo, because I was actually very livid a couple of days ago when I bought a 12.5 kg for at 18,440 naira. While I was expressing my anger to some of my colleagues, they also told me they actually got it at 25,000 naira just a few days ago. And that's the story for many Nigerians because of how skyrocketing the prices of cooking gas has been in very recent times. Perhaps we should ask you why, from where you sit and stand, what exactly is playing out?
Okay, thank you again. Gas, as we probably all know, is supply driven, supply push. We are all aware that we recently had a national strike by the PENGASSAN union. And there was a supply shock, is the best way I can put it. Essentially, we couldn't load out. Our members could not load out of almost every available depot, whether it be the refinery or whether it be all the other terminals. That therefore caused a supply shock, as I said earlier, into the system, which then meant that for a number of days or weeks, there was uncertainty in terms of pricing. Checking with our members this morning, right, almost all the plants in Kano, for example, are out of gas, in Benin, in Abuja, and a few other places that we've reached out to. So this immediate supply shock has been a problem. Now, it doesn't mean that there isn't product available or product arriving. In the last 3 weeks, we've had somewhere in the region of about 40,000 tons of gas that has landed via ship. We also have local producers that are roughly producing about 1,000 tons a day. So that's the supply is there. And this is not counting the Dangote aspect. So what you are seeing is a bump. It's not really a trend. We hopefully will start to see the decline of these prices in the next few weeks, if not days.
I mean, it's interesting to hear you say the next few weeks or days, Mr. Ekundayo, because I'm not sure how much more Nigerians can go through this level of pain and hardship on every angle, as we've seen it in very recent times. But how do you respond to those who accuse you and your friends and colleagues in the association that you and your friends, you have been hoarding the products and making it perhaps waiting to make it a bit more expensive for Nigerians to purchase?
Well, I don't know. If you know me and if you know my friends, we're not of that character. In any event, we'll leave individual finger pointing aside. What we need is a proper grasp of what the marketplace is. There's nobody sitting there with a conspiracy to hoard gas, or we're all in business to sell. Our members are in business to sell. So there's no issue of a deliberate action. What I have just explained to you is the fact that we had some union action, which was very well publicized on your channel and other channels as well. The gas is available. Nobody wants to keep gas in their tanks without selling. It actually is. It penalizes us as an industry and as companies. Many of our own assets are sitting idle and have been sitting idle for the last 10 days. So I think it's a little bit mischievous or disingenuous for people to look to scapegoat the very practitioners that have kept the price of gas steady over the last few months and years, as a matter of fact. And a lot of the government's effort and a lot of the association's effort has been towards bringing additional supply into the market. As I said to you, in the last 21 days, we've had probably in the region of about 7 ships that are berthed with gas. Most of this has come from NLCGA, if not all of this has come from NLCGA, as a matter of fact. But we also have producers that are producing gas hinterland, right? And that has generated quite a lot of gas. What we now need to do is post the PENGASSAN strike is to start to lift this gas efficiently across the country. But having said that, it's not like the industry doesn't have its own issues. We have issues with regards to even these loadings that I'm referring to. One of the problems we as an association, as the NLCGA, have been trying to tackle is the proliferation of charges at the loading point. We have roughly about I'll give you an example. If you choose to go and load from Dangote or from any of the other depots, there are 11 charges that are paid to or through the union. Okay.
Mr.
And
yes,
those
we have access. Yes, no, I mean, I want to stay on that point because you're going to walk Nigerians through some of your own challenges, perhaps, so we can have an idea of what you and your colleagues go through. So let's put up that chart for our viewers around the world to also have a clue of some of the concerns that you are raising here. as regards what it costs you and your colleagues to also purchase the products. We have it on the screen. So walk us through that. So you are saying to Nigerians that loading a Dangote refinery, you will have to pay about 11 charges. Walk us through those 11 charges for Nigerians to have a glimpse of what some of the constraints and challenges are.
Okay, so I mean, just in terms of these typically are not receipted. And I think there were about 11 in total at the time that we checked. So you've got the union that charges for every truck that loads. That is a bigger issue. That's a national issue. You've got a call-up fee. You've got a safety officer. I'm not sure what this the DPR officer there is for. The DPR no longer exists. Please, I think there are others, but there are a whole bunch of parking fees. There's a first parking fee. There's a parking fee somewhere else, the second truck park. There's a zonal VIO. There's a VIO turn-in junction. There's a loader scaling. There's a refinery junction, right? These are actual fees that they have to pay, and it also delays the trucks going out. Over and above this, in the past, we have shown that our trucks need somewhere in the region of about 49 to 52 permits that the truck has to move around. We've demonstrated this to government in the past, right? You got things like local government charges. You got something called a mid-year permit. You got a 3-in-1 permit, all of which make no sense. But you have to get all of these permits, 49 to 52 of them. And we have to demonstrate this in the past. If I'd known that we were going to go into this, I would have also shared a picture of what these permits look like, right? Radio permit. So it is an extremely difficult environment to operate in, but our members still manage to keep the supply of gas going. Okay, so that's why I said I will take issue and I will take exception to the fact that it is seen that we are sitting there gouging or extorting the public. We also have to face significant challenges in getting our product to market and actually trying to sell and make a margin in that process.
Mr. Kudoya, but I'm not sure you can take the fact that perhaps some Nigerians still hoard the products. You know how the hoarding plays out in this country, whether it is fuel, whether it is even cooking items. People hoard, especially when the festive seasons are already around the corner. We know how these things work and how we always want to take advantage of Nigerians. I'm not saying that perhaps you, but some Nigerians have reported the issues around hoarding. But let's even leave that. But let me take you up on something you mentioned, that some of the receipts are not documented. I'm just a bit drawn back why such pivotal transactions are not receipted, or some of the transactions, why they're not receipted. I mean, because for such transactions, one would expect Nigerians to have receipts for it. Because when there are no receipts, it leaves room for issues around fraudulent activities. I mean, that's why people avoid receipts, right?
Okay, so the reasons for I would leave it to the people collecting these funds to explain why they are on.
But you should be asking for receipts as well.
But more importantly is, what are these funds even used for, right? So there's no, if it's a tax, it's a tax, but it's not. These are non-government operators. Okay, they're non-state actors, and in that sense. So in the larger sense. So what are these fees used for? Ultimately, what it introduces is additional costs, additional delay for a truck that is meant to get to load in a day and be on its way to Kano, for example, and get to Kano in 3 days. We now will see things like a turnaround of 5 to 7 days. All of these things build inefficiency into the system. Okay, we have had a case in court to challenge some of these fees, and it is something that we even reported these fees to the authorities to press criminal charges. They have not been followed up on. Okay, they are a cost to our industry practitioners. We need to do something about them. You again mentioned that it's not unexpected that approaching the seasonal or the festive season, right, there will be hoarding. I would like to point out that there are several festive seasons in Nigeria, and you will find that in all the earlier ones that occurred, there was no hoarding. So there's no logical explanation to say that it is because of hoarding and because it's approaching Christmas. We've had a number of other religious celebrations that are very large celebrations where there was no hoarding. So that is not a charge that we accept. And because it's a free market, if person A decides to hoard, they will simply lose because person B and person C will sell into the market that they have vacated.
Let me take you, Mr. Ekundayo, on, because you've made some very strong and compelling arguments here on the program. Dangote has slashed cooking gas, the price of cooking gas to 760 naira per kg. He has also made some very weighty allegations about you marketers. The fact that he says the allegations of price fixing and profiteering. How do you respond to that coming from Dangote Refinery, who you are also accusing of several charges?
Well, if Dangote Refinery has made that allegation, then they will be included in that allegation, is what I would say, because they're also a marketer. There is nobody that says that, look, we only market. That's a middleman position. Most of the people who are in this market have assets that they have invested in. They buy and sell, yes, but they also offer services. Now, the scale of an operation may mean that Dangote can offer its services and its product cheaper. Right. It does not mean that the others are gouging. So if I were to sell you a product from the US and I make the same product in Nigeria, you wouldn't come out and say, oh, the person selling from the US is gouging. They are not price gouging. They are simply selling and trying to make a return on their investment. Dangote Refinery, for all the publicity that's going on, doesn't have the volumes to satisfy the Nigerian market. Okay, it may do 50% of the market. You therefore have to have other supplies coming through. I will pick up, since you have used Dangote as the bellwether measure for us, I will also pick up on the issue of Dangote cement. Dangote cement. I'm not sure I'm using him as the word, but
is that the fact that for Nigerians, they don't care about all of these internal wranglings or fights or disputes. For Nigerians, the person who is making these products cheaper for them is the person that they have interest in or would want to. And so for Dangote, for him to have reduced the price of cooking gas, that's where their interest lies.
Yes, I agree with you. I would therefore challenge them also to try and load from the Dangote Refinery and see how long it takes. There's the difference between a soundbite of an announcement in terms of a price and the actual loading. Okay, so you then therefore draw off-takers to you. The same off-takers that go to terminals, by the way, go to Dangote. So it's not like there is a difference. It's not like Dangote is selling to individuals at the end of the day. It's the same off-takers that will go to where the cheapest product is. So if I have a plant in Gombe or I have a plant in Maiduguri, I want to buy the cheapest product. I will go to Dangote if it's cheaper. I will go to the port and buy from terminals in the port if they are cheaper. So making an announcement about a pricing issue is one thing, but you will also find that there's a limited supply available from any point, whether it be Dangote or whether it be from any of the other terminals. I don't want to go mentioning names so it doesn't look like one is being selective, but since you brought up the Dangote name, they produce large volumes of LPG and they sell cheaper. But we also have members who actually sell cheaper than Dangote. They produce in the southeast region. They have been producing for the last 8 to 10 years, and they sell cheaper than Dangote. But it doesn't come with all the announcements or all the publicity statements, which may or may not serve the Dangote Refinery interest for other reasons. We've got producers that are doing almost as much volume as the Dangote Refinery.
We have to round off our conversation with you in a couple of minutes, but because your association, you're the president of the leading association representing stakeholders in this sector, the liquefied and compressed gases industry here in Nigeria, with all the challenges you have listed for Nigerians to see, the list of charges that you and your members have to go through, the costs to lift products from Dangote Refinery. So tell Nigerians perhaps just how much they will pay for a 12.5 kg in the next perhaps 1 month or less? Because you've said everything will normalize by in the coming days or weeks. But based on the charges and the challenges that you go through, how much ideally do you think Nigerians should be paying for a 12.5 kg of cooking gas?
Okay, to be honest, maybe I've set myself up, or maybe you've deliberately set me up in that regard. The current prices of 25,000, 18,000 are unreasonable. They clearly are. What I would like to qualify it as is that we would like to see prices drop below 15,000 in the immediate future. Okay, and then go back to, depending on where you are in the country, of course, drop below 15,000 and then go back to the normal levels that you have seen. There hasn't been a hike in gas or oil prices that justifies the bump that we see. So the bump that we've seen recently has been purely attributed to the supply shortage that arose from the strike. The strike has been announced that it's been called off, and therefore we expect things to start to normalize back to where they were, whatever your region is. Okay, of course, it's not in our control if another strike is called, okay, which we do not hope for. But at the moment, I would say with some confidence that we expect to see a drop below 15,000 within the next couple of weeks, and thereafter to normalize.
All right. Nigerians would have to endure this hardship again for the next couple of weeks. And then Nigerians are also trying to come to terms with the fact that the strike action only lasted for, I think, 24 hours or 48. And yet, even when it has been called off, we're having to bear the brunt. But we must thank you indeed. 15,000 naira is what you've said. We'll have a conversation with you again because the festive season is just around the corner. We'll have that conversation with you again sometime in the next couple of months. But must thank you indeed, Mr. Felix Ekundayo, President, Nigerian Liquefied and Compressed Gases Association. Thank you indeed for your time and insights on the program.
Thank you. Thank you again for having me on. Have a good day.
All right, so there you go now, Nigerians, brace up. These are indeed very interesting times. That's a fine place to perhaps anchor our conversation this hour. Thank you indeed for watching. On behalf of the production team and everyone here, I am Kelly Egiga, and you have been served on Lunchtime Politics. Good afternoon.